Imagine, for a moment, a world fundamentally altered. Not by cataclysm, but by an absence. One morning, the incessant hum of an unseen workforce simply stops. Billions of tiny bodies, vibrant with life, responsible for an astonishing portion of our world's sustenance, are gone. Vanished. The silence that follows is not peaceful. It is the prelude to an unimaginable crisis. This is not science fiction. This is the stark reality we confront if bees, the silent architects of our food chain, were to disappear tomorrow. Their absence would not be merely a loss of a species, it would be an unraveling of life as we know it. To understand the gravity of their disappearance, we must first appreciate their profound importance. Bees are far more than just honey producers, they are the planet's most prolific and essential pollinators. As they flit from flower to flower, collecting nectar, they inadvertently transfer pollen, fertilizing plants and enabling them to reproduce. This seemingly simple act underpins the very fabric of our ecosystems, allowing countless plants to thrive, from the wildflowers in our meadows to the staple crops on our farms. It is a silent, tireless labor, yet utterly vital for life on Earth. Their work isn't confined to nature's wild places. It directly impacts our dinner tables. Bees are critical to the cultivation of nearly 1/3 of the food humans consume. Think about that figure. 1 in every 3 bites you take has likely benefited from a bee's visit. This includes not only fruits and vegetables like apples, almonds, and blueberries, but also crucial crops that feed livestock, indirectly supporting our meat and dairy industries. Their absence would not just inconvenience us, it would fundamentally reshape our diet, our economy, and our very way of life. The moment bees vanish, the world would not instantly grind to a halt, but the tremors would begin immediately. Farmers, reliant on natural pollination, would be the first to witness the devastating shift. Many crops would simply fail to set fruit or seeds. Fields that once buzzed with activity would fall eerily silent. Supermarket shelves, accustomed to a constant flow of fresh produce, would begin to show gaps, not subtly, but dramatically. The initial shock would be widespread, a sudden, terrifying realization of just how dependent we are on these tiny insects. Within days, the consequences would be starkly visible. Crops entirely dependent on bee pollination, such as almonds, apples, cherries, avocados, and blueberries, would experience immediate, drastic yield reductions. Without the bees to transfer pollen, their ability to reproduce would plummet. These are not minor dietary components, they are staples for millions, and significant economic drivers for entire regions. The first wave of failures would hit these specialized farms hard, creating a cascade effect through the supply chain and sending a clear, undeniable signal of the profound crisis unfolding. As the initial crop failures ripple through the global food system, the immediate impact would manifest in our grocery stores. The vibrant, colorful produce aisles, once overflowing with a rich diversity of fruits and vegetables, would become barren. Consumers would face unprecedented scarcity. Items once taken for granted, their availability a cornerstone of modern life, would simply disappear. Fear would begin to spread, as the reality of a world without abundant food sources became tangible. This isn't just about what we eat, it's about the security and stability we derive from knowing our basic needs can be met. 1 year after the disappearance of bees, the world would be a very different place. The initial crop failures would have escalated into a global agricultural collapse. Essential food crops, from legumes to oilseeds, would be drastically reduced or cease to exist. Livestock populations, dependent on bee-pollinated forage crops, would decline sharply, leading to severe shortages of meat and dairy. The intricate web of agriculture, meticulously built over centuries, would be breaking down. This would be a year defined by chronic food shortages, widespread hunger, and an ever-present struggle for sustenance across continents. With dwindling supplies, the cost of whatever food remains would skyrocket. Rising food prices would become a brutal reality for billions, pushing even basic staples out of reach for the most vulnerable populations. What was once affordable nourishment would become a luxury commodity. This economic shock would exacerbate existing inequalities, plunging millions into extreme poverty and sparking widespread social unrest. Access to food, once a fundamental right, would become a privilege, creating immense pressure on governments and international aid organizations already struggling to cope with the crisis. Beyond our plates, the natural world would undergo a terrifying transformation. Many plants rely exclusively on bees for pollination. As these plants fail to reproduce, their populations would rapidly dwindle, leading to cascading extinctions. The loss of these foundational plant species would starve herbivores, which in turn would impact carnivores higher up the food chain. Forests would thin, grasslands would shrink, and vibrant ecosystems would begin to unravel. The intricate balance of nature, once a testament to biodiversity, would become a desolate landscape of decline and disappearance. The consequences for biodiversity would be profound and irreversible. Bees are keystone species, their health is intrinsically linked to the health of countless others. As bee-pollinated plants vanish, so too do the insects and animals that feed on them, or rely on them for habitat. This isn't just about iconic species, it's about the countless smaller creatures that form the bedrock of our planet's ecological richness. The Earth's rich tapestry of life would fray and tear, leading to a catastrophic loss of genetic diversity and ecological resilience that could take millions of years, if ever, to recover. Years into this new, silent world, the initial food shortages would have escalated into a full-blown global famine. Humanity would face an existential crisis. Diets would shrink to a handful of wind-pollinated or self-pollinating staples like corn, wheat, and rice. Variety, nutrition, and even caloric intake would plummet. Malnutrition would become rampant, leading to widespread health crises, stunted development, and a dramatically reduced global population. The very definition of food security would be rewritten, centered on mere survival rather than flourishing. The stress of pervasive hunger and resource scarcity would inevitably fracture societies. Civil unrest, conflicts over dwindling food and water, and mass migrations would become the norm. The delicate balance of international relations would collapse under the weight of humanitarian catastrophe. Governments would struggle to maintain order, their resources strained to breaking point. Trust, cooperation, and the very foundations of communal living would erode, replaced by a desperate, every person for themselves struggle for survival. It would be a descent into global chaos. The potential impact on human civilization would be devastating. Without bees, the global economy, heavily reliant on agriculture, would shatter. Industries connected to food processing, distribution, and even tourism would collapse. Innovation and progress would halt, as all human effort would divert to securing basic survival. Our cities, once centers of culture and commerce, might become relics, struggling to support populations on a fraction of their former resources. It's a future where advanced civilization, as we know it, would cease to exist, replaced by a stark, primitive struggle for existence. The loss of bees triggers an ecological domino effect. As plant diversity plummets, so does soil health, exacerbating agricultural challenges. Fewer trees and plants mean altered water cycles, leading to more droughts and floods. The air we breathe could even be affected, as vital plant life that absorbs carbon dioxide diminishes. Every part of the natural system is interconnected, and removing a critical piece like the bee sends ripples through every layer, creating a less hospitable planet not just for humans, but for every living organism struggling to adapt. A less obvious but equally critical consequence would be the loss of countless medicinal plants. Many of the natural compounds and remedies used in traditional and modern medicine derive from plants that rely on bee pollination. The disappearance of bees would mean the disappearance of these plants, taking with them potential cures, therapies, and vital pharmaceutical ingredients. Our capacity to heal ourselves, to discover new medicines, would be severely hampered, adding another layer of fragility to human existence in this altered world. A silent crisis for future health. Consider the stark contrast in our diets. Today, we enjoy an incredible array of fruits, vegetables, nuts, and seeds, a vibrant tapestry of flavors and nutrients. In a world without bees, this diversity would be a distant memory. Our plates would be dominated by bland, starchy, and often less nutritious options. The very joy of food, its cultural significance, and its role in celebratory gatherings would diminish. This isn't just about hunger, it's about a profound reduction in the quality and richness of human experience, a loss far beyond mere calories. Even if humanity found a way to adapt, the scar on Earth would be permanent. The natural world, once teeming with life and color, would be irreversibly diminished. The intricate relationships between species, evolved over millions of years, would be broken beyond repair. This stark future serves as a powerful, chilling reminder of our interconnectedness with even the smallest creatures. The fate of humanity, it turns out, is inextricably linked to the fate of a humble insect, a creature whose silent labor we often overlook until its absence threatens everything. The complete disappearance of bees would trigger a chain of events so catastrophic, it could ultimately challenge the very survival of human civilization. It's a sobering thought, a potent illustration of how fragile our advanced world truly is, built upon the delicate balance of natural systems. We stand at a precipice, with the power to both destroy and protect. The story of what happens if bees disappear tomorrow is not just a hypothetical disaster, it is a stark warning. A call to recognize the immense value of every living organism, and the profound responsibility we bear for the future of this planet.